Hello, today I'm going to talk about the North Node in Leo in Western astrology and also having Rahu in Cancer in Vedic astrology. If you have your North Node until 23 degree of Leo in the Western chart, you will have a sidereal Cancer North Node, and both are valid. So I'll try to shed some light on what these mean. Why, we have both signs here, and of course, if you have your Rahu, your North Node, starting at 24 degree in the last degrees of Leo, you only have this. Only the Leo Aquarius axis applies to you, and not Cancer and Capricorn as well. Okay, so with the North Node in Leo, you would have the South Node in Aquarius. This axis is it's very much about collective Aquarius versus the individual Leo. It's very much about Leo. Leo rules the heart chakra. Leo can be very subjective. Aquarius is about objectivity. Aquarius is very detached. Aquarius is ruled by Uranus in Western astrology, also Saturn, right? But Aquarius rules society. Aquarius rules being one of many, being part of society, and that can have, of course, many implications. All of these archetypes in astrology have infinite implications, but infinite is not the same here. So here with the South Node in Aquarius in your early years in life, most likely you were a rather cool kind of person, with Aquarius South Node. Of course, we have to look at other things in the chart, but you were a kind of a group person. You were part of a clique. You had probably lots of friends. You might have been in a sports team even. So you can also rule teams. You were part of a group, and you came into this life, into this incarnation, being a very socialized individual, being very capable of putting back your own ego, your own individuality, in order to submit to a group. With Aquarius South Node, maybe you went to university or not. It's that alone doesn't really tell us that much, but there's definitely a propensity. The person had some kind of intellectual. You have intellectual pursuits. You're interested in society at large. You might be interested in politics, or philosophy. Science. Aquarius is more scientific. It's not so much religion or spirituality here. And your life was accordingly. You were in your younger years. You have a lot of friends. You do have a lot of friends, and depending on, we'll get into that, what it means with the North Node being in Leo. But the point is, you came into this world with a very good sense of being one of society, and not really not having a problem with that. You did really well with that, being living like other people do, being having an interest, having contact with common people. So that's very much Aquarius. Although Aquarius, it's also it can also be a bit eccentric. Aquarius also rules egalitarian groups, eccentric, like underground kind of groups is also Aquarius, because now you still have a society, you still have a group of people who see themselves other than the mainstream. So that's also Aquarius. It's any society, any close or larger society of people who identify themselves and who also submit their individuality for this, for a bigger cause. Aquarius is about a bigger cause, right? Now you have the North Node in Leo. That means in the course of your life, you'll be challenged. Well, one of the biggest challenges here can be, and we really have to look at the houses, you know. But all of these have in common. Aquarius is very nervous energy. There can also be problems with the nervous system, you know. Sometimes even health issues. If the person is here to learn, in a way, to find themselves. It's one of those constellations where this is very much about yourself and finding yourself, and realizing that you're special. You know, the Leo feels special. Leo is the heart chakra. If Leo works well, these people can be very generous. It can be a very generous combination. In fact, that's one of the things you're here to learn, because Aquarius, being co-ruled by Saturn, and plus we're going to get into, you have the South Node in Capricorn in the Vedic chart. So you'll be very critical. You'll be a very analytical, critical kind of person. You'll be in this environment when you grow up. When you grow up in your teens and later, you'll be, that's why I mentioned university earlier, but it could be other environments, you know, of groups of people and a certain way of thinking. And it's, Aquarius is more detached. And a person who has a South Node in Aquarius, it's also very quick and nervous kind of energy. They're very, very intellectual. It's a very intellectual combination. And it's a combination, it's an energy that wants to rationalize everything, and that wants to put things into perspective to society, you know. There can be this obsession. The person can have an obsession about figuring out what is normal, so to speak, you know. And when you meet those people, when you meet these generations who have this, it depends. Some of them are already more in the North Node, in the Leo North Node, you know, which is definitely better. But if they're stuck in the Aquarius South Node, these people can be very insecure. There can be a lot of, almost like some sort of complex, you know, inferiority complex, because they don't want to see themselves. They always want to see themselves from other people's perspective, and they always want to include others, you know, other opinions, other people's feelings, because they're not really confident about their own heart, so to speak, in younger years. You're here to learn that. You're here to, you know, Aquarius wants to look at the data. Aquarius wants to study sociology and look at the general, and also follow these streams. You know, Aquarius is very much about following a stream in society. If you have this, you are here to let go of that. You're here to let go of this group consciousness, at least the group consciousness that you were in younger years. Like I say, we have to look at the houses. In one case that I know, the person had the South Node in the 3rd house in Aquarius, so he had the North Node in the 9th house in Leo, and there was really a problem of not letting go of a group of people, you know, that they were in their younger years, and there was a lot of negative energy. You know, if the person gets stuck in the South Node theme, and they will notice, you know, if you're part of a group, if you meet a group of friends and they think there's something better than you know, and they're constantly putting you down or whatever because you're not submitting the right way. So that could happen here, you know. You're this brotherly kind of person. You see yourself as an intellectual, for example, and now you join a group, and it's not really you're not really on par, you know, and you have to step out of it. You have to step into your own individuality and let go of. So especially with the 3rd house or the 11th house on the South Node, you would definitely have to let go of some group that you joined in your youth, you know. You have to find your own way. Depending on, you know, if you have, let's say you have the North Node in Leo in the 12th house, you might be alone. You have to go your way partly alone. You know, you won't have the support from other people, as other combinations, of course. So with the Leo Aquarius, that by itself doesn't really tell us very much about romantic relationships. You know, some people have more romantic relationships with this, others less. It depends. But what it does tell us, if the person has children in this lifetime, it will be later. With a Leo North Node, they will most likely have children later in life. It's more the Leo South Node that has children earlier, you know. And of course, if you have, let's say you have the South Node in the 5th house, the 5th house is ruled by Leo, right? 5th house has the same energy as Leo. Hold on. So if the person has children, it's very specific here. That's very important if they do have children. With the Aquarius South Node, when the children were young, you know, when the father or mother was young, they would be very fair to their children. You know, they would not be overly emotional. They're not like overly attached emotionally. They're not going to be very subjective. They want to be objective with all their children, very brotherly and stuff. And they might not even have as much time, you know. They might have many other responsibilities to follow. But as the person gets older with this is one combination where the person, if they are a parent, will have more, they will spend more time with their children, especially once they're over 40. You know, these are the people who are, once they get older, they have more contact with the family. There's the reverse combination is the other way around, of course, you know. So these people will have more, they will spend more time with their children to develop their heart chakra, you know, and the feeling of individual love. You know, your child will be the most important person to you, and not society at large. You know, that's, you're here to learn this, so to speak. Yeah. Also, the child, depending on how many children the person has, at least one of the children will take on the qualities of the parent who has this combination, meaning the parent will be able to identify themselves more with the child. As in the reversed situation, that's not the case, you know. So here there is more identification, more time spent with the children, to open up the heart chakra. And another thing, Leo, of course, also, if the person doesn't have children, we don't know. You know, just by looking at this, we cannot tell if the person will be a parent or not. But if they are a parent, that's how it is. If they don't have children, as they grow older, with Leo on the North Node, depending on what other interests the person has, what other aspects they have in the chart, they could be interested in theater, for example. You know, they could start, maybe they're 35, and they start having interest in the local theater, and they're on stage. They have possibilities to be on stage, to be the star here, you know. Leo can be, it's about play and fun. So it's also a combination. Some people I know who have this, lead a very luxurious life as they get older, you know. They might marry someone rich, and they're special, you know, like the red carpet is being pulled out for them. At least that's how they feel, especially if they have just a very mundane, very regular upbringing. Another interesting thing that you can see here with Aquarius versus Leo energy, it's just a little thing that I've noticed. Aquarius rules public transit, You know, people who have Aquarius in their youth, they will have used trains, buses. You're one of many if you sit on the bus, right? If you're using public transit, you're part of society. You're one of many. Now with the Leo North Node, the person will not use public transit. If they did it in their youth, they'll definitely have their own car, maybe even their own chauffeur or whatnot, you know. So it's individual car is actually here Leo, and public transit is Aquarius, and you actually see that in some people. Also, if they have the reverse combination, they will use public transit more later in life. That's just a little thing I've noticed. Life will give the person chances, you know. It's life will give the person chances to get away from the group. You know, they'll be pushed out. With this, I mean, if worse comes to worse, a person will be persecuted by their group that they're in. You know, something's just not right, and it doesn't make sense. They might be the nicest, the friendliest person you've met, but they're not accepted by this societal group that they might be chasing after. You know, and that's exactly what you shouldn't do. You should not chase after your south node. If it wants to disappear, it will, you know. So that was Leo. Aquarius, you know, the individual versus society versus being one of many and living in your heart chakra versus being all in your head, intellectual. So with this combination, what has to happen in life, hopefully the person is more spiritual, you know, or has some kind of spiritual practice, because their intellectual knowledge, if they get stuck in the Aquarius South Node, they will be these overly intellectual people who appear crazy at the end, you know, who are very nervous and aggressive, and at the end they think they're rational, but nothing makes sense anymore. So that would be also worst case scenario. The person is here to learn to live in their heart, you know, and to get in touch with themselves, and not to be out there all the time, you know, here and there and everywhere, and not from your person. You have to learn about your individual rights, you know. You're here to learn about individual rights, the individual versus society. But with the Leo North Node, in some cases that can be very fortunate. That can be a very fortunate combination if you do your work. And your work here is to let go something with these nodal axes. Now you also have, in the Vedic chart, you also have a north node in Cancer and a south node, Ketu, in Capricorn. Also Cancer is very family oriented. With this combination, if you have a Cancer North Node and the Leo, with this combination, later in life, you're not one of those people who will leave their country, you know. Maybe you spend time abroad when you were young, but with the Cancer North Node, this person is very what's the word? They have a very strong connection to their home country, and their fate will keep them there, so to speak. You know, it won't even be possible at the end. With Cancer, I guess it does rule your home country, the nation where you're from, or whatever. And so with this combination, it's not somebody who is supposed to go away, unless you have it in your 9th house, okay? Unless it's 9th house or 12th house, that could change things. But then you go abroad to create your family and home, okay? That would be a bit different. But Cancer here is very family oriented. Cancer is ruled by the moon, which is also very subjective. You know, so this combination is really about learning subjectivity, and not hold on to the belief that the subjective self is somehow inferior in their perception than the average society or whatever. You know, they're here to learn exactly that, not to listen to everybody, you know, and listen to their heart. It's very much about listening to your own heart and following your own intuition. And also with the Cancer North Node, you will have lots of opportunity as you get older to spend time with your family, to create a family. You know, if this is it doesn't matter if it's a woman's chart or a man's chart. It could be an older woman. You could be a woman over 40, 50, and you marry someone and suddenly you have like a couple kids, you know, or grandchildren. You marry a person and there's suddenly children in your life, because this North Node is about past the age of 35, although it can start earlier. Some people are already very much in their North Node early in life. Okay, that varies. There's variations here. So with this combination, it's very conducive to family. It's very conducive to playfulness. Cancer is also very playful. You know, the person might. It's good for playing. You know, theater, fun, games, art. You know, that kind of stuff. Having fun with the family. You know, spending time outdoors and stuff like that. So you will have lots of opportunity to be in your private space. Cancer is the private space. Also buying your own home. With this, also Leo Cancer, you have a very good chance of purchasing your own home. It might be later in life. Not everybody, you know, not everybody that I've met gets to do that, but if they don't, if the person doesn't, it's because they're stuck in that South Node. And here again we have to deal with Saturn, the Capricorn, Ketu, Capricorn, South Node in Cancer. That can be also that can be very tough, because it's a very fearful combination. You know, the person can be very fearful about stepping into their own power. Capricorn on the South Node, the person might have had a very good career early in life. They might be financially stable now, you know, and now it's they will spend more time doing what they want, doing more personal things. This is more about discovering your personal life, actually, you know. It's about realizing that career and money is not everything. And it is about and discovering your own emotionality with Cancer North Node. And there, you know, that with this combination, the person will the mixture of the Aquarius, you know, the very electrifying Aquarius energy here, and then you get these sudden intense spurs of North Node energy, because the North Node will also be overdone, especially when the person is younger. The person can be very erratic at times. You know, they can be strangely emotional but yet detached, as how to describe it. They can act crazy, but they're not, but yet they're very detached. It's kind of like that, you know. But they're here to learn their personal life. They're here to learn to be authentic to themselves, you know, and not be concerned about what others are thinking, or what's on the news, or whatever, you know, or what you're supposed to think, what you have to believe in order to be an educated citizen or whatever. With this combination, you have to grow out of that, you know. You have to be careful not to be subject of any mass propaganda, especially if it's overly negative, because with this Capricorn South Node, negative thinking could be your detriment here. Being overly critical, you know, and being rigid, being strict and rigid as a person, you have to let go of that. You have to, in some cases, unplug that broom out of your ass, you know. You might not want to admit it, but you can come across as very judgmental towards others and very rigid. But you're here to let go of that, you know, to learn to balance emotionality, subjectivity with the needs of the masses, and also this strict, rigid Capricorn energy, you know, that wants to be a good citizen and all that. So this, like I say, this is a very family-oriented combination. If the person has children and family, some people don't. Some people might be afraid. Some people might be very much afraid of having children. Actually, with this, and that means they're afraid of the North Node. So with this combination, in your past incarnation, you were not a parent. You know, you might have not been a parent in your past incarnations, and it feels very foreign to you. If you're not a parent, you will be a parent to yourself. You will get to be a child later in life. You get to be more playful later in life, and you're supposed to do that. I hope this helped. Can't think of anything else. Like I say, you're here to learn subjectivity. You're here to detach from Aquarius, okay? Not completely. It's not about complete detachment. It's a recalibration of these energies. So please let me know in the comment section if this makes sense to you. Take care.